This video is sponsored by Remind Magazine. The 80s, in my opinion, the defining decade for horror up until recently. It gave us Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Chucky, Pinhead, Belial, Roy Burns. Okay, so not all of it's great, but it's also home to two of my all-time favorite movies, John Carpenter's The Thing and Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. These two films have been on my bucket list for a very, very long time, and today we're going to risk it for the biscuit and find out if I can use Photoshop to create something that even comes close to that iconic original art. Do I have what it takes to create something worthy of these films? Are there even enough high-quality photos on the internet for me to use? Are you going to leave a like on this video before we jump in? Let's start with The Thing, because it's the better movie, and I know that a lot of you sick are just here so that you can yell at me about the Freddy poster, but you are going to have to wait. The basic idea here is to have our Lord and Savior Kurt Russell sitting in the center with a flamethrower from the movie in his hand, as you see some tentacles from the Thing monster overlapping the logo at the bottom. Your first idea is always your best idea, so we're not even going to give it a second thought. And immediately before we even start, we run into problems because I can't find a single photo of Kurt Russell that fits what I have in my head. I can only find this guy. I mean, he looks good. That head of hair is all time. And I also found this free image of a guy in a winter coat from freepic.com. So I think what I'm going to try and do is cut this guy out and put Kurt Russell's face on his, do a little plastic surgery, a little face swap. Shouldn't be too hard. What could go wrong? So, select subject tool for the guy, refine hair button for the hood, just gotta place him on our canvas. Seems about right, that's perfect. Now select subject button again for Kurt Russell, place him on top. I'm also going to quickly add in the tentacle shapes and the rough idea for the flamethrower just so I have a basic composition. Please don't give me shit in the comments about how the flamethrower doesn't match the one he's using in the movie. I know the nozzle's different, but I am not going to put hours and hours and hours into replicating that if I couldn't find a picture. And look, if you see, that guy's holding one that looks close to what I'm making, so get off my back. All right, mom? Moving on to the plastic surgery. It's just a lot of masking the edges with a soft brush and using hue and saturation filters along with color balance filters to match their skin tones. It's going to take me a second, so let's get into it.
Let him cook!
A few moments later.
Bingo! Something like that. What really sells this effect is an exposure layer with an artificial shadow on the left side, showing that that kind of fur hood is actually interacting with Kurt Russell's face. It really kind of sells what we're doing here. It's not perfect, but for right now, it'll have to do, and I'm gonna come back and clean it up later.
Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. We made this one up.
Now, let's make some tentacles, shall we? The Thing in the movie has these really thin, sharp, like really kind of interesting looking tentacles that reach out and shoot and they're pointing. They're really stringy and really gross and squiggly, and that's what I'm trying to recreate here. This procedure is very rinse and repeat. I have this meat texture from Adobe Stock. I'm going to scale that image down and then duplicate it as many times as needed so that each shape layer gets a clipping mask version of the meat texture.
2 hours later.
Now that each tentacle has texture, we need to have lighting effects. So then I need to again clipping mask an exposure layer to every single shape layer.
8 hours later.
God, that's tedious. Now, again, individually, we need to take a soft brush and layer mask away the exposure layer where the flame or the logo would be interacting, so it gives three-dimensionality to each shape.
1 eternity later.
Boom! That only took 1,860 bajillion hours. Just need to clean up a few more effects. We're gonna add some snow, and we're gonna put a camera raw filter, make it look really old and grungy, and we're gonna do a few things. So I'm just gonna stop talking, and then I'll see you at the reveal. That's my poster for John Carpenter's The Thing. I am so happy with how this one turned out. I love how the fire looks in this one coming out of the flamethrower, those sharp little embers I was able to find and implement. Oh, yeah, baby, this poster It's probably the strongest piece I've put together since I started this channel. Or is it? But before we do that, I want to take a second to talk about Remind Magazine. If you're like me and love entertainment from days gone by, there really isn't a better place to spend your hard-earned cash than with Remind Magazine. Their affordable monthly magazine delivery service showcases fresh takes on a variety of themes such as classic Thanksgiving TV episodes, Where Are They Now? Child Stars Edition, or my personal favorite, a top 100 list of the greatest retro science fiction films ever made. Each issue is also filled to the brim with brain-teasing puzzles, trivia quizzes, classic comics, and much, much more. So please, if you're ever feeling nostalgic, treat yourself to some lighthearted fun and help keep print media alive by going to remindmagazine.com and get 12 months for just $28. That's right, just $28 for a whole year of magazines, and if you follow the link in my description, you'll get an extra 2 months completely for free. There's also an entire library of previous issues in stock that you can buy individually if you see one that fits your personal interests. All information will be in the video description below or at remindmagazine.com. And now back to the video. All right, gentlemen and gentlemen, let's go. We're doing A Nightmare on Elm Street. The idea here is to have a green street sign that says Elm Street, and then that's dead center with Fred Krueger behind it, scratching that sign with his finger blades. Roughly. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do the Freddy thing because for whatever reason, high quality photos of him are nowhere to be found on the internet. I am not kidding. Nowhere. It was a nightmare. Puns. So I cut out this street sign image from Google and removed the text and the bolts using generative fill. The downfall of humanity can be useful sometimes. We just write in Elm really quickly, and then we right click on that text layer to rasterize that type, which allows us to then hit Command T and then right click to distort so it fits the perspective of the sign. Just position this bad boy like so. Boom. Elm Street sign. Finding a high resolution image of Freddy's glove from the first movie was basically impossible. Just couldn't be done. But I found this replica glove in this high ass resolution picture. So I know it might not be exactly the right image, and you film aficionados in the comments have to let me know. I did not put in the effort to figure it out. Looked good enough for me. From here on out, we're basically going to be taking bits and pieces of Freddy from a bunch of different images to try and stitch together this kind of sassy arm look. You know, the one where he's like at the bar and he's waiting for, you know, that's the basic, this is, you know, what I'm looking at, you know, it's just. Once I found an arm that fit that rough position, I cut it out and I roughly fit it within the hand resting on top of the sign. And that, like everything else, needed highlights and shadows. I am running out of ways to make that sound interesting, so I'm just gonna tell you, exposure layer, fill it in, paint away. I don't know how else to say it. This goes for all contact areas, the sign, the gloves, the arms, everything. You get it. You get a shadow. You get a shadow. You get a shadow. Now the torso and the head are made up of these two photos. I sincerely hope this image is from the first movie. I'm skeptical, but I don't really care. It's the only one I could find that fit our perspective. The torso is from Getty Images, actually, of this dude living it up at a convention. It's just his shoulder that fit the pose, so, you know, shout out to this guy's shoulder. He will probably never know that his chest is the primary image in a Nightmare on Elm Street official Nerd Designer unofficial fan poster. What an honor.
Is this supposed to make me feel good? It makes me terrified. It makes me ashamed to be a human being.
Same deal as everything else. Cut it out, fit, mask away, shadows, highlights. The last thing I want to go over is how I achieved that illustrated poster effect for both of these posters. For these 80s movies, I really wanted to try and get as close as I could to that illustrated old poster style. Just add some crunch, you know, just real dirty shit. I have basically finished my design here. What I'm going to do is group everything in my layers panel and duplicate it so that I can compress that into an image I can then run through all these filters non-destructively so I don't lose all my work. That layer then gets put through a camera raw filter. We pump up the clarity and the grain and add some sharpness in there to really get everything moving. We then take this layer and we put it through a filter gallery. And my primary two things here are a posterized edge and a film glow effect. It kind of boosts the lights and the highlights and the whites, and it adds a little bit of a flare and a flicker I like, even if sometimes it puts it where it's not needed and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I really like it. After that, it's just logos and playing around and retrying. So I'm gonna finish out and see you at the end. And that is my poster for Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, I don't know, the stars aligned, something happened, but I nailed it here, at least in my opinion. I could see this as like a box set cover or a Blu-ray cover for a special edition or something. I don't know. Whatever it could be, I'm really, really happy about it. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of the video. If you like what I do here, like, comment, subscribe, share it. It lets YouTube know that it should show my videos to people like you more often. It really helps. Until next time, stay sexy. I love you. Happy Halloween.